To create graphs in sheets, you need at least one independent and one dependent variable, so one data point. So we're going to use the example of wrapping eggs and dropping them from a prescribed distance to see whether the egg survived it uncracked or if it cracked in the fall. So if a student just had one that they were testing, they got to choose, and the student chose wrapping their egg in a paper towel as opposed to putting it in a box or plastic wrap, then they would put how they wrapped it or what they wrapped it in and what the outcome was. So because Sheets is driven by numerical data, it needs some kind of a number in order to grab the data and create a graph for it. So what I've done is I've created a number outcome for an uncracked egg and a different numerical outcome for a cracked egg. So we'll say the student dropped the egg from, let's say, 12 inches, and it was wrapped in a paper towel, but it cracked. So they would assign it a 2. To get a data or a graph bar graph, they would highlight all of the data, all 4 cells, and then they would come over. If it's not showing on your at the top of your ribbon, just go to the 3 dots for the more menu options. And then right here, this icon is for inserting a chart. So we'll go ahead and insert a chart, and there you go. Right here is the information for the chart. You could also customize it, but sometimes students will want to change the color. They could simply right-click on it, go to Format the Data Point, and change the color to whatever it is they want it to turn out to be. Maybe cracked. You could tell everyone, change your data point or your graph to be red to indicate that it actually cracked. To add more information and create more data points for a bigger graph, you could do it something like this. Okay, so I've added a little more information. So we have paper towel, plastic wrap, and the use of both. We'll say the paper towel and the plastic wrap, the egg cracked, but when they use both, the egg survived the fall. So we'll go over here. Well, first, we'll go ahead and grab our data, select all, go to the 3 dots. If your chart icon doesn't appear, and click on Insert Chart. Now we really wanted the students to do bar graphs. It's part of a standard, so we want to change this. So all you have to do is come over here to where it says Chart Type. You can choose any of the charts you want. So let's pick this chart right here. So here is our outcome. 2 is unsuccessful, 1 is successful drop without cracking the egg. So we're going to right-click, and we're going to go to the Format Options, and again we'll turn them red if they ended up breaking, and we'll leave it blue if it was successfully dropped. So that's how you can add more data and change the colors of the bar graph to represent the data so it's easier or more visual for the students. So now what I've done is I've created a data set that's a little more complicated, but for our more advanced students, they might end up collecting data like this. So I made 3 different ways to wrap the egg: paper towel, plastic wrap, paper towel, and plastic wrap. And I have prescribed distances to drop the egg, starting at 8 inches going down to 1 inch for each of the different styles of wrappings. And then I added an outcome, whether the egg survived the drop or not. So 2 meaning that it cracked, 1 meaning that it was safely dropped without cracking. I've selected all the data. I'm going to go over to the 3 dots to the chart icon, and here's the chart. I did do it in a column chart. So here we have the paper towel. 2 would be the outcome where it cracked. 1 would be an outcome where it did not crack. So if you wanted to, the students could change the color of the paper towel. We'll make it green. And then go ahead and change the color for the rest so that it's easier to see. So maybe plastic wrap could be yellow. And they would go through and change all of them, and then keep your paper towel and plastic wrap blue, and then that gives a very nice visual for the data. The other thing I'd like to point out is you can actually copy and paste the graph into a Word document. So if they were writing up a summary or a reflection on the activity, they could include their graph in the summary. To do that, the students would simply click on the graph, go to the 3 dots, and click Copy Chart. So here I'm in my Word document where I'm reflecting on the activity. I've put my cursor beneath the paragraph that I began writing, and all I have to do is paste that graph. And notice you can also link it to the spreadsheet. So if someone wanted to, they could click on the bar graph and go right to the spreadsheet, and they can view all the data that was collected by the student. So we're going to go ahead and link it to the spreadsheet. And there you go. Now you can see I did change the rest of the colors, and I also changed the color of the uncracked outcome to a different color, again, just to make it easier to see. One thing I did want to point out, when you are in the graph, you can change the information that's in the graph just by clicking on it. You can see now I have these little hash lines. I can change any of this data that I want to change the name of, or word it differently than it is in the spreadsheet. So that's how you make graphs in a spreadsheet, and this is something that I think grades 3 on up will really enjoy, and it's a great tool for math. So if you need any other support with graphs and sheets or anything else, just go ahead and reach out to me through email or through Twitter.